Hi, this is Bruce Long with a game from the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. I am playing QuadSnorlax, also known as Rlax or Snorlax Lock. The deck only has 4 Snorlax and no energy whatsoever. It's a fun deck to play, although there are certain decks that you just auto-lose to, but other decks it does very well against, including some of the big decks currently in the format. So I finally draw a Snorlax. You often mulligan quite a bit with this deck. Now, since the deck has no energy, you rely entirely on poison to knock out your opponent. I'm playing against an opponent who's playing big plasma basics. Deoxys, there we see Deoxys on the bench, and Thundurus active. I play Skyla to get a catcher, and I catcher the Deoxys because Deoxys is the ideal card you want to be in their active position. And I end my turn. Now Deoxys cannot retreat due to Snorlax ability. And even if he gets Deoxys powered up, it can only do a maximum possible of 30 damage to Snorlax. He benches his own Snorlax and he passes. I have a Verbank gym, but I really don't want to play it down until I get another Snorlax on the bench, because if my Snorlax gets poisoned, it could be quick for this world. I've tried 2 recycles to try to get a catcher back, but they both fail. And also because I wanted to play Bianca. I didn't get anything useful for this turn, so I went ahead and passed. And I take a look, see what's in my discard pile. He attaches a Prism Energy to Deoxys and plays Bianca himself. I'm hoping he'll use a switch to get the Deoxys back in the bench, because you want them to use up their switches as soon as possible. Okay, now I have another Snorlax on the bench, so I feel safe in laying down my gym. Play Bianca again. He had attacked with Helix Force, which did 30 on my Snorlax. He plays Colress Machine to get a Plasma Energy, which he attaches to Snorlax. Attaches an energy to Thundurus. He plays Professor Juniper, discards his hand, draws 7. And here comes his own Hypnotoxic Laser to put Snorlax to sleep and poison. He benches another Deoxys, which I am very glad to see, and he does Helix Force for 30. I play Charon. I certainly don't want to play Juniper and have to discard those 2 catchers. My active Snorlax has 90 damage on it, which means it would be knocked out soon. So I play Switch, and then Max Potion. So now both of my Snorlaxes have no damage on it. And take a quick look at my discard pile. Nothing I can use, and so I end my turn. My opponent plays Skyla to get a switch. That's what I wanted to see, because nothing is powered up well enough yet to one-shot my Snorlax, and most plasma decks only play maybe 2 switches, 1 scramble switch, and that's it. So he attached an energy to Thundurus and does Raiden Knuckle for 50 and attaches an energy to Snorlax. I catcher the Deoxys again and poison it. I play Getsus. Unfortunately, he has no trainer item cards, so I simply end my turn. If he wants to burn up another switch right now, that would be fine with me. He attaches an energy to Snorlax, so the Snorlax is getting powered up now on the bench. Since he's been concentrating on powering up Snorlax, he will naturally want to get his bench as full as possible, so that Snorlax will be doing the maximum possible amount of damage. He benches Kyurem, plays Colress Machine, but does not get any Plasma Energy, which means that all of his Plasma Energy is either in play or in his prizes. I don't feel I need to play those Shadow Triads yet, and I certainly don't want to Juniper all that stuff away, so I just simply end my turn and let the Deoxys take some poison. He attaches an energy to Kyurem, plays Team Plasma Ball to get a full bench, so that Snorlax will be able to do massive damage when it is finally ready to attack. He benches Kyurem and plays N. Glad to see that I drew a Team Plasma Ball so that I won't be down to just one Snorlax. He plays a switch, which is fantastic for me, and poison, so this will knock out my Snorlax at the end of the turn. And he does the 50. I take a look to see how much damage is on his Deoxys, which has 90 damage. He attaches another energy to Snorlax, so I definitely don't like the looks of that Snorlax that he's got all powered up on the bench. I attach an Eviolite to Snorlax, Team Plasma Ball to get another Snorlax, and play Skyla. Looking through my deck, trying to decide what would be most helpful right now, and not surprisingly, it's the catcher. Catchers and lasers are what this deck is all about, and since I have two lasers in my hand, I go ahead and play the catcher, catcher the Deoxys back up, and poison it, and end my turn. Now, unfortunately, since he had retreated the Deoxys once, it will not die at the end of his turn. It would die at the end of my next turn, which is not what you like to see, but we'll just have to deal with it. He attaches an energy to Kyurem, attaches an ineffective float stone to Snorlax, catchers by Snorlax that does not have the Eviolite on it, plays Bianca, gets a laser, and now my Snorlax is poisoned. Plays Tool Scrapper to knock the Eviolite off of my Snorlax. I take a look in the discard pile to see what I got. And he ends his turn. So that Deoxys will be knocked out at the end of my turn, at which point he's going to bring up something and most likely one-shot me. So I have to see what would be most useful in this situation. And I decide to grab a Professor Juniper because my laser will be playable at the beginning of my next turn, although I don't like to discard the Shadow Triad. I end my turn and the Deoxys is knocked out. I'm hoping that he does not have a catcher if he's going to one-shot me. For the prizes, I get an Eviolite and a switch. He plays Colress Machine after bringing up Thundurus. But of course his Colress Machine fails again. He attacks and knocks out my Snorlax, and fortunately for me there's no energy in his discard pile for him to attach. I attach an Eviolite, play a laser to put some poison on his Thundurus EX. And now I have to decide, do I really want to play that Crushing Hammer? Because any energy that I discard, he's just going to reattach somewhere else. Oh, there's only 4 energy in the Snorlax. I guess that's why he didn't bring it active before. But since I've played it, I've got to use it somehow. So I go ahead and discard one. Maybe I can discard the other next time and play the Juniper. I play Team Plasma Ball to get another Snorlax to stay alive, and hey, sure enough, I did get a couple more Crushing Hammers, so let's see if we can make that Thundurus. There we go. So that takes all the energy off of Thundurus. Now he's got to get another energy before he can get it back. So I end my turn, and Thundurus starts taking poison damage. My opponent plays Skyla, and with his Skyla, he decides to get an N, which of course he can't play till the next turn, and N looks fine with me anyway. So I decide, let's just go ahead and play another Crushing Hammer. What do I want to take? Yes, let's just take the water off the Kyurem, because when Kyurem's all powered up, then it can be kind of a threat also, although not as much, since Kyurem can only attack every other turn if it decides to attack with Blizzard Burn. So I end my turn. He plays Team Plasma Ball, but the search fails, and now he plays the N. So we each draw 4. He plays Laser to poison my Snorlax, and ends my turn. He did not draw an energy, which looks good. Thundurus has 120 damage on it, which is exactly where I want it to be, because it will be knocked out at the end of his next turn. I play a recycle, which fails. Play a Shadow Triad and get a laser. So I want to be all set up for the next round to poison whatever he sends up. He now has 150 damage on Thundurus after I ended my turn. He evidently cannot do a thing, so he ends his turn and sends up Deoxys, which is great with me. I was surprised he didn't send up one of his non-EX Pokemon, but I guess he was figuring that he still has that scramble switch in his deck, and this way he can scramble that energy off of Deoxys into whatever he needs. I play 2 revives to get both Snorlaxes that were in my discard pile onto my bench, so now I've got a full team out there. I poison the Deoxys, and now he's got to get it out of there in 3 turns, or else the game will be over. I play the Max Potion to remove the damage off of my Snorlax. I play Skyla, look through my deck, and get Juniper. Glad to see the dowsing machine is still there, so I'll be all set for my next turn as I end my turn and we both take poison damage. He attaches an energy to Snorlax, so Snorlax now is ready. He benches Lugia Tornadus EX, plays N, which takes the Juniper out of my hand and gives me 2 little cards, and then does Helix Force for 10. Top deck the Juniper, fantastic. I play Enhanced Hammer, decide to take the Prism energy off of his Deoxys, play Max Potion to get the damage off of my active Snorlax, and play Juniper. Okay, let's see. Another Enhanced Hammer. Does that sound right? Sure. Let's take the other Enhanced Hammer off of the Deoxys so that if he does try to scramble switch into something, it won't have any. Yeah, see, just in time. Of course, his Snorlax is already fully powered up anyway, and now he can one-shot me. I'll naturally send up the Snorlax with the Eviolite, which wouldn't really do any good here, but there, I drew the dowsing machine. I already have the laser in my hand, so all I need is the catcher, and we will put that Deoxys back up here and poison it. So I play the dowsing machine and discard 2 and get the catcher the Deoxys back, poison it, and now at the end of this turn the Deoxys will have 120 damage, which means he really has to get the Deoxys out of the active position in this turn, or I will win the game. I play Charon for 3. Nothing there I need, so I end my turn. This is definitely a fun deck to play, because a deck with no energy, where you never attack, and still can defeat some of the best decks in the format. This deck also does very good against Darkrai and against Ray Eels. So he cannot do anything, and all I have to do is end my turn, and that is it. The game is over. QuadSnorlax has won.